Excel's SUMIF function is an excellent tool for adding up values based on specific criteria within a dataset. This function is especially handy when you need to perform selective addition without manually filtering or sorting data. Let's explore a practical scenario where this function proves invaluable. Imagine you are part of the HR department at a large corporation, and you've been tasked with calculating the total annual salary expenditure for different departments. This is crucial for budget planning and ensuring each department is allocated the right resources. Your data is laid out with employee names, their respective departments, and their annual salaries. Using the SUMIF function, you can quickly calculate the total annual salaries for all employees in the IT department. Before we dive into the examples, let's quickly go over the syntax of the SUMIF function to understand how to use it effectively. The SUMIF function in Excel consists of three components in its syntax. The first component is the range. This is the range of cells that you will evaluate using the criteria. These cells are checked against the conditions specified in the criteria. For example, if you are looking at departments in a company and want to sum values only for a specific department, the range would be the cells that contain all the department names. The next component is the criteria. This part defines the condition that determines which cells to sum. The criteria can be expressed as a number, expression, or text that defines which cells will be added. For example, you can put IT in double quotes to sum values for only IT department. Now the last component is the sum range. This is the actual range of cells from which to sum the values. Now that you're familiar with the syntax of the SUMIF function, let's put that knowledge into practice. Starting with text strings as criteria, let's see how you can apply this in a real-world scenario. Often, you might find yourself needing to sum values based on specific text conditions within your data. For instance, consider a situation where you're looking at a dataset of employees across different departments and you want to calculate the total salaries for a particular department. In this example, we'll focus on using a text string, let's say IT for the IT department, as our criteria to test the cell range. Here's how you can achieve this. First, navigate to your Excel spreadsheet and focus on where you want to place the result of this SUMIF function. Let's choose cell F2 for the output. Click on cell F2 to make it active. Once there, begin typing your formula by entering SUMIF, followed by an opening parenthesis, making sure you start with an equal sign. This command initiates the function. Now, you'll need to specify the range where Excel should search for your specified criterion. For this example, you're focusing on the department column, which is located in column B, spanning from cells B2 to B20. After typing the opening parenthesis, enter B2 to B20 to define this range. You can type it manually or simply drag your cursor across the range to automatically populate it into the function. After entering the range component of the function, be sure to follow it with a comma to separate it from the next part of the formula. And in the next part, we need to specify the criteria, which is IT, for the IT department. Make sure to enclose IT in double quotation marks to denote that it's text. So you'll type IT inside a double quotation marks after the range. After setting the criteria, you'll designate the sum range, which is where the salaries are listed. Assuming salaries are in column C from cells C2 to C20, you'll enter C2 to C20 right after your criteria. You can type it manually or simply drag your cursor across the range to automatically populate it into the function. This tells Excel where to find the numbers it needs to add up if they meet the IT condition. Close your formula with a parenthesis and hit Enter. Your complete formula in cell F2 should look like this. Pressing Enter, Excel processes the formula and instantly displays the total amount of salaries for the IT department in cell F2. This method not only simplifies data analysis, but also ensures accuracy and efficiency in financial calculations. This example illustrates just how powerful and straightforward using the SUMIF function can be when dealing with specific textual criteria within your datasets. For our next example, we'll explore how to use the SUMIF function to sum values that do not meet a specific condition, essentially, how to include everything except a certain criterion. Let's consider the same dataset as before, which lists employee names, departments, and their salaries. This time, our goal is to calculate the total salary of employees who are not in the IT department. Excel provides a handy tool for this. Comparison operators. Among these operators, we have the equal to operator, less than, and greater than operators, less than or equal to, and also the greater than or equal to operator, and lastly, the not equal to operator. To exclude the IT department from our summation, we'll use the not equal to operator. Here's how you can apply this in Excel. Start by selecting the cell where you want the result to appear. Type in the equal sign, then SUMIF, followed by an opening parenthesis to begin your formula. Next, specify your range where the function should look for the criteria. In this case, that's the department names located in B2 to B20. After typing or selecting your range, add a comma to move to the next part of the formula. Now, employ the not equal to operator by typing the not equal to operator, followed by the text IT within double quotation marks. The not equal to operator in Excel is denoted by two separate symbols, the less than symbol followed by the greater than symbol, combined. It's important to note that this is not a single symbol but a combination of two. This part of the formula tells Excel to look for all departments that are not labeled as IT. Add another comma after your criteria. Then indicate the range for the values you want to sum, which is the salaries in C2 to C20. After specifying the sum range, close your formula with a parenthesis and hit Enter. Your complete formula in Excel will look like this. This formula effectively sums up the salaries of all employees who are not part of the IT department, showcasing the flexibility and power of using comparison operators in Excel, especially when dealing with exclusions in your data analysis. In our next example, we explore how to use the SUMIF function in Excel to sum amounts based on partial text matches. This is especially useful when you're dealing with variations of a specific item within your dataset. Let's consider a dataset listing different types of fruit and their respective prices. And suppose you want to calculate the total cost of all items that include apple in their names, such as normal apple, red apple, and green apple. To achieve this, we'll make use of Excel's wildcard characters, specifically the asterisk, which matches a sequence of characters. This is ideal for our needs since we're looking for any text that ends with apple. Start by selecting the cell where you want the total to be displayed. Enter the SUMIF function, then specify where the fruit names are listed, let's say from cells A2 to A10. After typing your range, you'll need to define your criteria using the asterisk wildcard. Type the star or asterisk sign, followed by the word apple, to tell Excel to look for any text that contains apple anywhere within it. Make sure to enclose your criteria in double quotation marks to ensure Excel interprets it correctly. Next, add a comma and then specify your sum range, which is where the prices are listed, for instance, B2 to B10. Close your formula with a parenthesis and press Enter. The complete formula would be this. This will calculate the sum of all prices in the range B2 to B10, where the corresponding fruit name in A2 to A10 contains apple. For added flexibility, if you need to use a dynamic text criterion from another cell, you can incorporate cell references directly into your formula. For example, if cell D2 contains the text apple, you would modify the formula to include the cell reference, making it look like this. This approach combines the content of D2 with the wildcard, allowing your SUMIF function to adapt to variable inputs and making it extremely useful in spreadsheets that frequently update or deal with dynamically changing datasets. Now, let's explore how to use the SUMIF function in Excel when your criteria are based on numerical values. This requires the use of comparison operators to specify the conditions under which cells should be summed. As mentioned before, Excel provides 6 comparison operators for defining these conditions. These operators are straightforward by their designations, but remember to enclose them in double quotation marks when inserting them into your formula to avoid errors. Now, let's consider a practical example to illustrate this functionality. Imagine a data set where the first column lists product names, the second column lists the number of items sold, and the third column contains unit prices. Our task is to calculate the total price of products that sold exactly 15 units. This scenario uses the equal to operator. Begin by selecting the cell where you want the result to appear. Start typing the SUMIF function by entering the equal sign followed by SUMIF and an opening parenthesis. Then provide the cell range for the items sold, which is B2 to B10 in our dataset. After typing or selecting the range, insert a comma to separate it from the next part of the formula. Next, you will input the criteria using the equal to operator. Type equal sign, then 15, making sure to enclose the equal sign and 15 in double quotation marks to ensure it's recognized as the criteria. Add another comma before moving to the sum range. Specify the sum range where the unit prices are listed, which is C2 to C10. Close your formula with a parenthesis and press the Enter key. The complete formula will look like this. This formula evaluates how many units of each product were sold and sums the prices of those products that meet the criteria of selling exactly 15 units. In this example, since the orange, watermelon, and green apple all sold 15 units at prices of $61, $56, and $95 respectively, the total sum of their prices will be $212. Using the SUMIF function with numbers as criteria enables you to perform targeted financial analyses quickly and accurately, making it a valuable tool for managing business data efficiently. Example 5. Finding the sum of cells that are greater than the given number. In this example, we'll learn how to use the SUMIF function with the greater than comparison operator to sum values based on a numerical condition. This technique is useful when you need to evaluate data based on quantitative thresholds. Consider a data set that includes employee details such as their full name, the total number of years they have served a company, and their annual salary. Our task is to calculate the total salary paid to employees who have been with the company for more than 2 years. To begin, select the cell in your Excel spreadsheet where you want the result of the SUMIF function to appear. Type an equal sign followed by SUMIF. Then the opening parenthesis into this cell to start defining your function. Next, specify the range that contains the criteria you want to check. Here, it's the years of service for each employee. Let's say this information is in column B, from cells B2 to B10. After typing the range into your formula, add a comma to move to the next part. Now it's time to set your criteria using the greater than comparison operator. Type greater than sign followed by the number 2 to indicate you want to include only those employees who have served more than 2 years. Be sure to enclose it in double quotation marks to prevent any errors. Add another comma, then specify the range from which the values should be summed, which in this scenario would be the salaries listed in column C from cells C2 to C10. Finish your formula with a closing parenthesis and hit the Enter key. Your completed formula should look like this. This formula sums the salaries of all employees listed in column C, whose corresponding years of service in column B are greater than 2. Example 6. Finding the sum of cells that are greater than or equal to the given number. Let's dive into another practical example using the function in Excel, this time employing the greater than or equal to comparison operator. This scenario will focus on summing salaries based on employees' years of service, specifically targeting those who have worked for the company for at least 1 year. Starting off, choose the cell in your Excel sheet where you want the total salary to be displayed. Begin by typing an equal sign followed by the function name, SUMIF, into the selected cell. This action starts your formula. If a suggestion pop-up appears as you type, you can select the first option available or press the Tab key to auto-complete the function name. Now, indicate the range of cells containing the years of service data. In our dataset, this is in column B, from cells B2 to B10. After typing this range, insert a comma to prepare for the next part of the formula. The next step involves specifying the condition for the years of service. Here, you will use the greater than or equal to comparison operator. Type the greater than sign, followed by the equal to sign, then the number 1, into the formula to include employees whose tenure is at least 1 year. Remember to enclose this part of the formula in double quotation marks to ensure the formula is interpreted correctly. Following the criteria, add another comma to separate it from the sum range. This is where you'll specify where the salaries are listed, which for this example is in column C, from cells C2 to C10. Conclude your formula by adding a closing parenthesis. Once completed, press the Enter key to execute the formula and calculate the sum. The full formula in your Excel sheet should look like this. This formula efficiently calculates the total salary for all employees who have been with the company for 1 year or longer, demonstrating how SUMIF can be used to perform conditional sums based on numerical criteria. It's a powerful tool for financial analysis and ensures that you can quickly assess budget allocations or payroll expenses based on employee tenure. Now, let's use this function with dates. In this segment, we'll learn how to use the SUMIF function in Excel to sum values based on date criteria, utilizing the equal to comparison operator to target specific dates within your data. Consider a data set that includes sales data for the month of January. You might have a scenario where the data is sorted by sales in descending order and features multiple entries for several dates. Let's say your task is to determine the total sales that occurred on January 13th, 2023. This requires you to sum all sales entries corresponding to this specific date. Begin by selecting the cell where you want the summed total to appear. Start your formula by typing the equal sign followed by the function name, SUMIF, into this cell. Next, you'll need to provide the range where Excel will look for the date you're interested in. Assuming this data is in column A, spanning from A2 to A20, type A2 to A20 after the function name. Follow this with a comma to move to the next part of the formula. Now, it's time to specify your criteria. Type an equal sign followed by the date January 13th, 2023 to instruct Excel to look for cells that match this exact date. Remember, it's crucial to enter the date in a format that Excel recognizes as valid, and ensure it is enclosed in double quotation marks to avoid any parsing errors by Excel. After setting the criteria, add another comma, then indicate the sum range, which is the column that contains the sales amounts. Let's say this is in column B from B2 to B20. Close your formula with a parenthesis and press the Enter key. The complete formula in your Excel sheet should now look like this. This formula efficiently calculates the total sales on January 13th, 2023, by summing all entries from column B that correspond to the date found in column A. Using the SUMIF function with date criteria allows for precise financial analysis and data management, ensuring you can quickly aggregate sales or other data points based on specific dates within a dataset. Continuing our exploration of using dates as criteria, let's delve into how to calculate the sum of sales occurring before a specific date. In this example, we'll focus on summing sales that happened before January 15th, 2023, using the less than or equal to comparison operator. Assuming we're working with the same dataset as in our previous example, which includes sales data for the month of January, our objective now is to identify and sum all sales entries prior to January 15th, 2023. Start by selecting the cell where you want the total sales figure to appear. Enter an equal sign and follow it with the function name. If a suggestion box appears, you can select the first suggested option or simply press the Tab key to autofill the function name. Your next step is to specify the range where Excel should look for the dates. Assuming the dates are listed in column A from cells A2 to A20, type or select the range, A2 to A20, right after the function name, and add a comma to prepare for the criteria input. Now, input the criteria using the less than or equal to operator, then the date 15th of January 2023. It's crucial to enclose the date in double quotation marks and ensure it's in a format Excel recognizes to avoid any errors. After setting the criteria, add another comma and then provide the sum range, which contains the sales amounts you want to add up. assuming this is in column B from cells B2 to B20. Type or select the range, B2 to B20. To complete your formula, simply press the Enter key. The fully constructed formula in your Excel sheet should look like this. This formula effectively calculates the total sales made up until January 15, 2023, by summing all relevant entries in column B that meet the date conditions specified in column A. Using the SUMIF function with date criteria like this provides a powerful way to perform financial analysis and data aggregation, allowing you to easily track sales performance over specific time periods. Thank you for watching. If you found this tutorial helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel for more useful Excel tips and tricks. Don't forget to like this video and share it with others who might benefit from learning how to effectively use this function in Excel. Your support helps us create more content that helps you streamline your data analysis tasks. Thanks again, and happy analyzing!